Today, we're taking a look at Star Wars autograph pieces, specifically those that are multi-signed. So stick around and we'll take a look right after the jump. I thought it would be fun to take some time and go through some of the autograph pieces we currently have in our collection in relation to the Star Wars universe and focus specifically on those pieces that are signed by more than one person. So what we're going to do is we'll break it up into different sections depending on how many signers are on each of these individual autographed pieces. Now, before we start going through each of the different pieces we currently have in the collection, if you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, hit that bell notification to be notified when we post new videos. It helps us continue to grow our channel and bring you more content like this and many of the other types of items we have here on our channel. So let's jump on over and start talking about these different signed pieces from the Star Wars universe. So where I want to start is actually, we're going to start with the multi-signed double pieces. So we're going to start with pieces that have just two people on them. That seems to be the majority of our multi-signed pieces. As I was putting this video together and going through our current collection, I was looking and I saw most of our multi-signed stuff is just two actors. Whether I ordered these through a private signing, I purchased them from somebody else, or I got them in person at a convention over the years, these are the different pieces that we currently have. Now, I focused mainly on my favorites out of the collection. There are other ones other than what I'm going to show you today, but I want to bring it down so we're not here all day going through all these individual pieces. So once again, let's start with the dual signed ones. The first one I'm actually going to start with here, taking a look at it, is one of the more recent ones, and that is this retro action figure, which is from the recent, that's kind of confusing, recent series, retro series from Hasbro of The Mandalorian. This one signed by Brendan Wayne and Lateef Crowder, two of the men who are behind the suits in the Mandalorian TV show. I got this one signed just this past year, 2023, at New York Comic Con. So I brought this one with me. I got this nice acrylic case that it's in. It's actually, they're right behind me here, down at the bottom of this one of these cases here. We have it displayed. So I really like that one. And both of those guys are great guys. I love having conversations with them whenever I see them at shows. So I'm just excited to just have more pieces of them. So that's where we wanted to start. So we'll start with that piece as the first one. Kind of growing from there and getting a bit bigger when it comes to that, let's talk about this dual signed piece from the TV show Andor. And this one is very exciting. It's Diego Luna and Andy Serkis from the, I think, the best kind of storyline from the Andor TV show, which is the No Way Out storyline. That's something I was not expecting when I was watching the show, to see Andy Serkis show up as himself. Of course, he's also Snoke in the sequel films, but it was great to see him with his actual face, and he did a fantastic job in the TV show. I love the storyline from this first season, and I had to have this piece right here with the two of them when they did signings with Swayu. So got this piece completed, nice, easy to see black on there because they have the white uniforms. I think this is a fantastic dual signed piece to represent a great part of the Star Wars universe. So as we transition from that, I actually want to show something that goes hand in hand with this. I have another Diego Luna piece that is signed by Felicity Jones as well from Rogue One. So this one is the 2-for-1, I should say, deal here when it comes to your Diego Luna Star Wars dual signed pieces that we're going to show today. So I just want to kind of put those together since those are going hand in hand. I do actually want to start a dual signed piece with Diego Luna and Alan Tudyk, who plays K2SO in Rogue One. I think that that would look great. I know, of course, those pieces exist, but And Alan Tudyk is coming to a show near me very soon in the next few months, so that may be a very much higher possibility, but that's just something we're going to look. But right now, those are the two kind of dual signed pieces I have with Diego Luna on there. Before we jump back to the movies, let's actually talk about one other dual signed piece from the TV shows, going back to The Mandalorian, and I have this piece here from season 2 of The Mandalorian with Gina Carano and Ming Na Wen. I think this shot is great. I think it looks great with both of their signatures on there. I was happy to get this one when Swayu did a signing with both of them, and they released this as an inventory sale not too long after both of their signings happened, and I was able to grab this one at that time, and it is one of my favorite pieces in my Mandalorian signed collection. So to round things out and go back to the movies, let's talk about the remaining dual signed pieces we have here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go in a different direction. I'm going to start with the sequel movies and then go back to the original trilogy. And the sequel piece I have here is actually one that's right behind me. It's on the wall up here right behind me, and that is Adam Driver and Daisy Ridley from The Force Awakens. This was actually a piece that I purchased in person at Star Wars Celebration Chicago back in 2019. It is when I first discovered Star Wars Autograph Universe, the Facebook group, which would eventually become Swayu the company. I was first introduced to them by finding their booth and some of the other things that were going on at that Star Wars Celebration, which was also my first time ever going to Star Wars Celebration that year. So it's a lot of great things that kind of came hand in hand with the purchase of that item and the meeting of a lot of people who became a big part of the autograph community and kind of brought me more into that autograph community as well. So it has a little bit of more story behind it other than it just being from my personal favorite of the sequel movies. I think it's a fantastic shot as well from that great lightsaber battle from the end of The Force Awakens. But it is a piece, like I said, that actually is up on my wall right behind me as well. Now going from the sequel films and going into the prequel movies, I've mentioned it in previous videos. I'll mention here again. The prequel films came out when I was a kid, and I was, well, early teenager age, so they were a big part of my love of Star Wars, and they still are. Now, that doesn't mean that I blindly say that they're perfect films or they're amazing, but at the same time, they held a special place for me. So I do collect a lot of different prequel shots because of that. And going into that, the first one I actually want to show here is Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin, their fight from Revenge of the Sith. We have the Battle of the Heroes. This is the first Battle of the Heroes shot I got signed. It's an 8x10 shot of the two of them from Swayu's first signing with the two of them a couple years ago. Now, this was during kind of the height of COVID when it was just private signings. There were no conventions going on at that particular time. So we have this shot. This is before people really got into like really doing a fantastic job on the photo editing. So the quality of the photo is not as high of a standard as they are now if you were to order this for a signing right this moment. But I did actually start a new project to eventually replace this one, and that is a 10x20 poster that will have both Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor on there. I did get Hayden Christensen added to that poster last year in Philadelphia. All it needs is Ewan McGregor, and then it's done. Now, of course, I know he has signed multiple times since the last time I got Hayden, but I just haven't sent this in or gone to those conventions for one reason or the other, but I know it'll get done. I know that eventually I'll just get Ewan on there and I'll call that one done. It's a nice clean 10x20. I think it looks fantastic, and that will eventually be another dual sign piece that will be a kind of a centerpiece per se of my Star Wars autograph collection. The other one that I absolutely love, that's from a signing that a lot of people thought would never happen, and it's still kind of crazy to think that it did happen, even though it's a few years ago now, and that is the Natalie Portman signing, and that is this shot from Attack of the Clones with Hayden Christensen and Natalie Portman both on there from the Geonosis battle at the end of the film. This is a shot that I still think is crazy that this exists. Of course, there's a lot of other shots of Hayden and Natalie that are now done. The people have these. People also have, of course, shots with not just Hayden and Natalie, but Natalie on things with all different people from Star Wars, with Ewan, with Hayden, full complete posters, or at least mostly complete with the major people on there. I'm looking at you, Liam Neeson, you need to sign. But other than those, I think it's fantastic that we had that opportunity and are these pieces out there, and the fact that I have owned this since day one is just something I always kind of have to remind myself that it was a great moment to really jump into the world of autograph collecting and dive deep into it even more than I was prior to figuring out what a private signing was. We've gone all the way through the different timelines of Star Wars. We've talked about the TV shows, we've talked about the sequel films, the prequels, all those. Now let's get to the big ones, the original trilogy. And this original trilogy duo, which the last one is actually 2 last pieces here, this duo here has the heaviest hitter out of all these I'm going to talk about when it comes to dual sign pieces. The first one, though, I'm going to talk about is one that I actually just recently got completed, and that is this piece signed by both Anthony Daniels and Kenny Baker as C-3PO and R2-D2. I purchased this back in 2020 with just Kenny Baker on there. So this was a photo that was already signed by Kenny Baker prior to, of course, him passing away. And this one was online, verified. I purchased this piece thinking that one day I would add Anthony Daniels to it, and then Swayu did a signing with Anthony Daniels last year in 2023, so I was finally able to send that in, get it completed, and now the 2 of them are on there. So this is the only Kenny Baker autograph I currently own. So I do own everybody from the main cast, but some I have more of and some I have less of when it comes to which pieces I've come across and how I felt about spending money on certain things and stuff like that. But I'm happy to have this piece completed on a very iconic shot, of course, when it comes to the promotional stills of the original Star Wars film. And then speaking to the original Star Wars film, and we're just going to call it Star Wars because that's what it was when it first came out, we have this shot, the one that is the heavy hitter out of all the pieces we've talked about so far, and this is this shot signed by both Alec Guinness and the director George Lucas. This is incredible. Another one that is actually behind me on my wall. However, the one on the wall behind me is a copy of the original, since I do have a window right in front of me, and I don't want to take the risk of damaging the photo any more than it already is. The autograph of Alec Guinness is really faded, and it looks like there was a not so great job done to remove like personalization or something else that was written on the photo. So both signatures are very faded, not very bright, but they are verified, they're real. And the greatest thing is that it's Alec Guinness and George Lucas on a shot that's another iconic behind the scenes shot from the making of the original Star Wars film. So now having a Alec Guinness shot in my collection, and this one has another meaning on top of that. This was actually a gift given to me for my 30th birthday from my wife and my brother. So my wife and my brother, they got together and they purchased this piece for me for a big celebration of my birthday, and that is something that has that double extra meaning on top of it being such important people to the history of the Star Wars universe. We spent so much time going into detail about these exciting pieces that I thought it would be better to split this into 2 videos. So stick around to our channel for part 2 coming very soon.